Hello, viewers, and welcome to another episode of the Lord of the Rings The Card Game Progression Series. My name is Mitch.
And I'm Matthew.
And today we're going to be playing through the final scenario from the core set. This is Escape from Dol Guldur. So, Matthew, what did we do last time, and what are we going to be doing today?
Thus far in our adventures, we have survived the dangers of the Mirkwood Forest, as well as our journey down the Anduin and successfully escaped the Hill Troll. Today, while we are exploring in the vicinity of the Dol Guldur at Lady Galadriel's request, one of the hero's companions is captured by the Necromancer's forces. Not a good thing. And now that captured hero is awaiting interrogation in a dungeon beneath the hill. Knowing that our friend's time is short, we, the heroes, decide to attempt a desperate rescue.
Well, I could not have said it better myself. This is a prison break scenario, so Matthew and I are going to have one of our heroes captured, and kind of the entire premise of this quest is liberating our friend and then making it out before the Nazgul of Dol Guldur itself can manage to destroy and dispatch our fellowship. But, as per usual, Matthew and I are going to start by taking a look at our decks. For this scenario, we're going to be playing a pair of decks rather similar to what we ran against Passage Through Mirkwood. I'm going to be using two leadership heroes and Eowyn to represent spirit. My thought process here is we want a lot of resource acceleration, we want a lot of action advantage. So Aragorn, Unexpected Courage, some power cards from each sphere like Northern Tracker and Steward of Gondor are... it's hard to go wrong with inclusions like that, and probably the most important consideration Matthew and I have to bear in mind is that we're going to be restricted to playing no more than one ally as a group per round. So, in an ideal world, Matthew and I would have more cards to draw from than just our core set here, and we'd normally be playing many more attachments, many more events, but I suppose if anything, he and I are erring on the side of expensive allies. I've got attachments like Calabrian Stone, a couple aforementioned power cards, and then, some great stuff like Galadrim's Greeting to decrease threat, something that we're going to have to pay a lot of attention to, and stuff like Sneak Attack, and then lots of other core set staples. But Matthew, what about yourself? What can we expect from your deck?
Well, I'm running Gimli and Legolas, as per usual, with the addition of Beravor. I'm hoping she does not die first turn, like she did in Passage Through Mirkwood.
Right.
And so my deck is pretty similar. I've got Gandalf, of course. I've got Beorn. It'd be kind of fun if he could see some play, maybe help us smash some Nazgul. Smattering of allies here, the usual mix. Hopefully I can get some Citadel plates on Gimli to boost him up and have him also hit the Nazgul pretty hard. And then the usual smattering of events, Feint and Quick Strike to deal with some enemies, and then Radagast Cunning and Secret Paths to help us quest if necessary.
Yeah, there's nothing too terribly daunting that we're up against, apart from Ungoliant Spawn and Chieftain Uftak, some things like that, but lots of threat increase to worry about, and lots of encounter cards right off the bat. Mm-hmm. I've gone ahead and made Matthew our first player, and why don't we go ahead and start? Before I introduce the scenario, let's just draw our opening hands here.
Okay.
I will shuffle my deck as well. I'll draw 6 cards, and Matthew's set the visibility of his hand to display to me. And I suppose, Matthew, what do you think about your opening hand?
Gosh, it's a hard decision. I mean, it's split 50-50, tactics and lore, which is good depending on if one of my heroes is the prisoner here.
Sure,
if it's tactics,
sure.
It's okay. If it's Beravor, then I'm screwed. I like that I've got Horn of Gondor. I like that I've got Citadel Plate. The fact that I'm a little light on allies isn't the end of the world because we can only play one per round. Gleowine could perhaps give us some card draw in a few turns. I wish the Quick Strike was a feint. That's the only place where I have a little bit of pause, because feinting the Nazgul is the best way to avoid his nasty forced effect of discarding characters. But I think that I'm going to keep this hand.
Well, I suppose taking a look at mine, it's kind of an interesting assortment of cards. There's some stuff I'm not thrilled to see, but there's some cards that I'm really hesitant to throw away. Steward of Gondor jumps out right away for early game resource acceleration. I've got Calabrian Stone for added willpower, which is going to be especially important if we are unfortunate enough to have Eowyn picked as prisoner, Faramir sneak attack. So a lot of great stuff, and provided Barivor is able to do some card draw, if I'm able to do an early game sneak attack Gandalf, that could make things much, much easier. Same thing goes with Northern Tracker, but I think I'm almost forced to keep my opening hand, so
Okay.
I suppose I'll keep. You're going to keep, so let's talk about our scenario because there is plenty to cover today. So quest card 1A is the Necromancer's Tower. So like Matthew explained, the Lady Galadriel of Lorien is asking us to investigate the area in the vicinity of the Tower of Dol Guldur. Unfortunately, one of our allies has been ambushed by orcs, is captured, and is now held in a dungeon cell. So Matthew and I have got to take a look at the encounter deck, find the 3 objective cards, and we've placed them in the staging area. We've also put an enemy, the Nazgul of Dol Guldur, face up but out of play alongside the quest deck. We're going to shuffle the encounter deck and attach 1 encounter to each of the 3 guarded objective cards. So, one of our heroes is going to be the randomly selected prisoner, the Nazgul of Dol Guldur here, 5 threat, 4 attack, 3 defense, 9 hit points. It's an absolute beast of an enemy. We can't put attachments on it, but it does not actually interplay until we rescue our prisoner. And when it gets a shadow card that has a shadow effect, if that resolves, if it's not hasty stroked or it's not fainted, then the engaged player has to choose and discard a character. So, very nasty enemy, huge threat value, but for the moment we need not deal with it. We've got a trio of objectives here which are unique to this scenario, and these are really the first and only objective cards we see in the core set. There's Gandalf's map, there's the Dungeon Torch, and the Shadow Key. Each of these are guarded, they count as restricted, and they each have some sort of detriment associated with them. So you have to use an action and boost your threat by 2 to claim the objective when it's free of encounter cards, and when you claim one of these, you attach it to a hero you control. We're going to need to claim one of these objectives to pass Quest Phase 1, and we're going to need to claim all 3 to pass Quest Phase 2, so that we can move into 3 and then eventually win this scenario if fortune favors Matthew and I. Gandalf's map prevents a hero from attacking or defending, so someone like Eowyn is a great target for that. The Dungeon Torch boosts up threat considerably, so stuff like Sneak Attack Gandalf is going to be imperative for threat management, as is the Galadrim's Greeting. And last but not least, we've got something called the Shadow Key. So this damages heroes, and therefore why not slap this on a Citadel plate equipped Gimli or something like that.
Yeah.
So Quest Phase 1 is going to be complete here as soon as we go ahead and attach some shadow cards. So we've yet to actually figure out a prisoner, but I've shuffled the encounter deck, so I'm going to reveal 3 encounter cards in sequence and then attach each of them to one of these encounters. So left to right.
Okay.
Encounter card number 1 is going to be a copy of Hummer Horns.
Yikes.
So, again, we're dealing with this early on, but engagement cost is 40, not the end of the world, just 1 threat, but we do have to kill it before we can free up Gandalf's map. Encounter card number 2 is going to be a location, the 3-threat Necromancer's Pass. We have to discard cards to travel there. We're going to have to deal with that. Yeah. And our 3rd, final encounter card, this is a bit of a softball. This is a when revealed effect, so no characters are exhausted, none of them are going to take damage. We're going to attach each of these encounter cards to one of our objective cards. I'll go ahead and discard that Treachery, so Shadow Key is free to be claimed at any time, but there's no sense in doing that yet. Finally, we get to transition to quest phase 1B. This is 9 quest points. When revealed, we're going to randomly select one hero card and turn it face down. That hero is going to be the prisoner. It cannot be used, damaged, doesn't collect resources until it is rescued a little bit later on in this scenario. Matthew and I cannot play more than one ally card each round, but we can put characters into play, a la sneak attack and effects like that. Even if Matthew and I get the 9 out of 9 progress tokens, we cannot advance to the next stage of this quest until we've claimed at least one objective card. So, why don't I go ahead and pick a random number, one between 6, starting left to right. That number is going to be 4.
Ugh, I knew it. I was just going to say, because we got Hummer Horns and I've got Citadel Plate in my hand, I want to put it on Gimli so we can take the Hummer Horns, and I knew that he would be the gosh darn prisoner.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So that about sucks. Maybe we'll have to put the Citadel Plate on someone else. Yeah, who knows? But that is rough. And Hummer Horns, 5 damage to a single hero. Yikes.
Yep.
So
horrible. And now it's going to take me 4 turns to save up for it. You know?
Yeah, yuck. So that's pretty gross. Hopefully I come across a Gandalf sooner rather than later, but a little bit of a rough start, but it certainly could be worse. 4 threat in the staging area. So, Matthew, now that I felt like I've run a marathon, are we ready to start?
Let's do it.
All right, so resource phase. Go ahead and collect your resources, draw your 1 card, and first planning is all up to you.
The only thing that I really could play is Hennemarth River Song.
Sure.
Which I'm not really sure that's necessary. Do you plan on playing an ally this turn?
I don't need to.
It's probably better if I wait and save up for Gleowine just to get a little bit of extra card draw,
Sure.
I think, at the end of the day. So I am just going to sit tight, save up for that Citadel Plate in case we don't get a Gandalf. And so I'm not going to do anything.
Yeah, I guess in regard to my ally options, I've got Son of Arnor, which engages enemies, but, Hummerhorn, it's whether you optionally engage, whether you use card effects or engage with it necessarily. There's no really getting around that effect.
Right.
So just because I'm going to be able to do quite a bit of questing, and you and I don't have any enemies that are that we have to deal with immediately. Do you want to maybe use Barivor now, just because I've got Steward of Gondor, and I've certainly got a lot of spirit cards in my deck that I might be able to come across and get into play?
I certainly can. Normally I wouldn't, because I wouldn't want her to get damaged by Necromancer's Reach.
Right.
But sure, I'll go ahead and exhaust her and let you draw 2 cards.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. I did end up getting a copy of Northern Tracker that I could do next turn, and I've got a Snowborn Scout that I could toss out now, possibly, just to kind of accelerate things. Let's see. I think I'm going to go ahead and strip off 2 leadership resources to do Steward of Gondor on Éowyn. It's a bit of a shame to put it on a spirit character just because I've got so many leadership cards in hand, but, Matthew and I as a group can only play 1 character, so I feel like I'm not going to be able to play as much as I would like regardless. That is going to stop me from doing a Snowborn Scout, but all the same, I don't know. I just feel like I probably want to get that into play as quickly as possible. Maybe that's not the best move, but I think it's fine for now.
Okay.
And I've also got a cancel shadow effect. Not that you and I have to worry about a lot of shadow cards with Hummerhorns in play here. But I think that's all I'm going to do. Next turn should be much more interesting for me.
Okay.
So for questing, who do you want to commit, if anyone?
I will not be sending anyone.
Okay. So for me, we are up against 4 threat currently. Our encounter deck certainly does have some nasty enemies. I think just to be conservative, maybe I should send everyone, and I
Okay.
will have Theodred toss a resource to Aragorn. Aragorn will spend his one resource and ready. So I'm going to go ahead and send a total of 7 to the quest,
Okay.
which we can adjust up if necessary.
Absolutely.
Okay, so encounter card number 1 is going to be another Necromancer's Pass.
Okay.
Encounter card number 2 is going to be Dol Guldur Orcs. So the first player chooses a character committed to a quest, and they take 2 damage. I think
Yikes.
Theodred is probably a fine recipient for that.
Okay. Sure.
All right, well, thank you for your damage. And
Anytime.
I suppose, let's see here, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If we each discard a card, we will break even.
Yep, that's true. I could play Radagast Cunning to negate the the orcs or something. Same end effect. It's me
Yeah.
spending a resource. But I suppose we could just as easily pitch a card as well.
Well, let's see. I definitely don't have much use for my Son of Arnor, but if I'm going to be playing a Northern Tracker for us next turn, that'll be our one ally. I guess if you're not in urgent need of that lore resource, you may as well do Radagast's Cunning.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to do Northern Tracker, I was hoping to do Gleowine, but less important, I think, than clearing locations.
Sure.
Horn of Gondor, though, is also probably not going to see a ton of you. I'm 6 eggs, one hand, half dozen the other. I'll go ahead and play Radagast Cunning.
All right, well, thank you very much. And let's just say Dol Guldur Orcs is nullified, so 7 equals 7. We do not quest successfully, but we also don't fail. So we do not...
Now, we could still pitch at this point if you really wanted to get rid of something.
Yeah, I think I'm good.
Okay.
Okay. And there's nothing that penalizes us for not questing
Right.
successfully, so
Right.
I'm cool if you are.
Yep.
Where things get a little bit more complicated is next turn I'll be able to do like I don't want to sneak attack a Snowborn Scout, but I could use my Northern Tracker to put a progress on each of our 2 locations, and then Snowborn Scout to get rid of one of these, just because something tells me you're probably not going to want to randomly discard 2 cards.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we're probably fine.
Okay.
So for travel, I guess is what I was trying to get at. Do we want
Right.
to not?
If I didn't have Citadel Plate in my hand, I would totally be fine losing anything I have. But because at least it seems like in the short term we're going to try to get that Citadel Plate on Aragorn, we can't afford to lose it, and
Sure.
so it's a little risky.
I think if worst comes to worst, I could sneak attack Snowborn Scout the following round to eliminate
Right.
one of these locations. So for the time being, yeah, let's not travel. And
Okay.
I guess in regard to engagement, do you want to take our Dol Guldur Orcs? I can defend for you. It doesn't really matter, I guess.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, so I'll just I'll bring it down to me just for
Okay,
fun,
sure.
because I
Okay.
don't think it's often I get to engage with enemies.
Yeah.
So let's give him a shadow card. I'm going to go ahead and have Aragorn defend. The shadow card is choose and discard an attachment I control. Yeah, so let's see. I suppose I will go ahead and spend 1 spirit resource, and I will use Hasty Stroke to cancel that, because I don't want to lose my Steward of Gondor. Aragorn takes no damage, and Matthew, if you do the honors of slaying our orc.
I certainly. Oops.
Whoops, I didn't mean to drag that resource over there. But anyways, Legolas is going to shoot a dart in the Dol Guldur orcs, and those are going to be killed.
Yeah.
And that's
Sadly. Yep.
Or go Redhead.
Yeah, I was going to say there's no location, which I would love to clear one of these, but it's not active.
Yeah.
So just goes right on the quest.
That card discard is just too painful.
Yep.
But I guess we're good to refresh.
Let's do it.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and, I guess, turn off management. And now I can control R. That actually worked that time. I will do my resources, I will steal the first player token, and I will draw 1 card. I've now got a cancel when revealed,
Okay.
and it looks like you got a healing effect.
Yeah.
So I will, again, trigger my Steward of Gondor, and now I think I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4 for Northern Tracker, presuming that's cool with you.
Sure.
And now, so I don't think I'm going to be so fortunate as to get a copy of Gandalf. If you were to have me draw 2 cards, it would only be, 3 copies out of my remaining 40. I could do a Calabrian Stone, and that's probably the wisest course of action. So why don't I go ahead and do Calabrian Stone,
Okay.
and I will throw that on Aowen, and feel free to do whatever you'd like.
Part of me, I'm not going to do anything.
Okay.
I could go so many different ways with stuff, but I want to actually not, because I mostly have allies in my hand now. I could play Horn of Gondor in case we start sneaking attack stuff to get a few more lore resources, because I'd probably put it on Barivor, but again, saving up for that Citadel plate for Aragorn, so I'm just going to sit tight.
Sure, and I suppose in this, post-errata world, Horn of Gondor is nerfed pretty hard, so it's
True.
It's not the best to include in this set, but again, Matthew and I were kind of at a dearth for options when it came to deck building here.
Yeah.
So I guess, are you done? You're good?
Yep, all good.
All right. So for committing characters to the quest, I suppose...
It is all you.
Yeah, and speaking of all me, I think I'm going to do the same thing as last time. So throw a resource to Aragorn and ready him. And this time I'll have commit actually a total of 10 because of Calabrian Stone. And that's going to be a couple of progress on each of our locations here. And I guess if I need, I can cancel a when revealed effect from an encounter card.
Okay.
And nothing from you?
Nope, not a thing.
All right. Sounds fair, though. So let's see. Encounter card number 1 is going to be another location, which I'm okay with for the most part. 2 threat, Mountains of Mirkwood. Encounter card number 2 is going to be each player discards all event cards. I suppose I may as well cancel this just because I don't want to lose sneak attack. And
would only lose quick strike, which I'm okay with, so that's entirely up to you.
Yeah, so it's basically I can lose my event or I can play my event and spare a thing. So, hasty stroke 1 turn, a test of will the other. So
excellent.
Gonna go ahead and play that. Make sure it doesn't land on top of my deck. My mouse is a little bit on the fritz. Been meaning to replace this thing. But I guess that is that. So 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're going to make just 1 progress. Whoops. But I'm cool with that if you are.
Yeah.
And So I guess for travel, do we want to travel to the Mountains of Mirkwood? It would involve revealing an encounter card.
Just as a side note, we didn't know if we were going to get enemies that we'd have to deal with, but we could have perhaps debated sending Legolas to the quest this turn in order to receive Theodred's resource so I could play Citadel Plate next turn. As is, we'll have to wait still another extra turn. But that was just a random thought that popped into my head. So I totally missed your question. So what did you ask me?
Well, I guess, do we want to travel to Mountains of Mirkwood?
We do have to reveal a card. Yeah. That's pretty nasty. The threat is not that bad. Right. Yeah, it's going to take a couple turns for Northern Tracker, but we're going to clear out the other 2 locations next turn. So I say we leave it.
Yeah, and I totally agree. I think the risk of revealing God forbid, Ungoliant Spawn or something like that. Like, let's just not bother with it. So
Plus, the art's cool. I don't mind sitting and looking at it for a while.
Right, exactly. Nice, crisp HD image here. So I'm cool with that. I don't think either of us wants to engage with Hummerhorns, since nobody wants to lose a hero. No traveling, I guess, for Barivor.
Yep, go ahead, draw some cards.
Well, thank you very much. I happen to get another tracker.
Okay.
But I'm not quite going to have enough resources to play it, and I've now got another a couple copies of Faramir in hand as
Okay.
well.
I can start pitching, I suppose.
Yeah, so if only Eowyn could somehow get more resources. But anyways,
Right.
yeah, shall we refresh?
Let's do it.
All right, so Control R is refresh. I'll go ahead and toss you the first player token. Let's go ahead and do our resources, draw 1 card apiece. I've now got a global attack boost in the form of 4 Gondor.
Okay, I drew Blade of Gondolin. Would be nice to play, but again, saving up for that Citadel plate. I could play Cleowine to accelerate card draw a little bit, unless you have a better ally that you can afford.
I don't really have anything that's worth playing. I can just save
Okay.
up for next turn. I can do Faramir. So
Okay, well, Cleowine or Cleowinnie, as I've heard some people pronounce it, which is too weird for me. So apologies to Professor Tolkien, but it's Cleowine. So he'll hit the table here.
yeah, well, that's a new pronunciation for me. But I'll go ahead and toss out Eowyn as my fridge's motor kicks in. Let's see. Steward of Gondor tosses a couple of resources to Eowyn, like I lost track if I said or not.
So did you just say your fridge is running?
Oh, God, Matthew.
You know, you should probably go catch that.
I've not, I've not had enough drinks to deal with bullshit.
Who says you don't get comedy on the Progression series?
Yeah, no kidding. That's Matthew taking a break from the anger to deliver some humor.
Right.
But yeah.
We've got personalities. Gosh darn it.
Right, at least one of us does. Yeah, I don't really think anything worthwhile from me is going to happen this round.
A little sad, but hey, your Northern Tracker's going to do some damage here,
Sure.
so I'm okay with that.
Sure. So questing, anybody for you?
Nada. I'm going to play it safe.
Okay. This time, I think I'm going to do the kind of the same routine with Theodred.
Okay.
I'll be sure to leave Aragorn up, and
Okay.
that's going to be a progress token on each of these locations.
Excellent.
So Necromancer's Pass is gone. Second Necromancer's Pass is gone.
Nice.
Dungeon Torch is now free of encounters. Hummerhorns still has like the most desirable objective,
Right.
so that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But I guess we've currently got it is 10 committed to the quest, and let's do staging. So encounter card number 1 is going to be King Spider. So each player has to choose and exhaust a character.
Ooh.
I guess
Okay.
I'm stuck getting rid of Aragorn.
Yikes. Okay.
Encounter card number 2 is going to be another location,
All right.
which I'm cool with, especially considering I've got another Northern Tracker in hand.
Excellent.
But 4, 5, 6, 7 threat means we're going to make 1, 2, 3 progress.
Okay.
We could ditch a couple cards, but there's not a lot of point because
Right.
we don't have we
Right,
don't have
exactly.
an objective yet. And you do have a defender, so we can deal with the King Spider.
Exactly.
It's not too bad.
Right.
So anyways, I guess for travel, again, do we want to just skip it completely?
I think so.
Okay. For engagement, do you want King Spider?
I have no choice, I suppose.
Sure. And unfortunately, Aragorn can't help you out this time, but
Right.
why don't I go ahead and give that boy
Okay.
a shadow card? And,
Sadly, no card draw this turn because both have to be exhausted, but Bear of War will defend.
All right. And Matthew and I could tempt fate right now. It's only 2 cards out of 26 that have a plus attack effect.
You know, I trusted you once, and I'm still scarred from it. So let me defend it.
Sure. All right. So,
But okay.
so Bear of War is just going to take 1 point of damage, and now you can attack. And it looks like we're going to be just shy.
Sadly.
Okay, if I can remember my hotkeys for once. All right, so 2 points of damage to the King Spider. And then at the end of combat, let's get rid of that shadow card. And I suppose that is that. So shall we refresh?
Let's do it.
All right. So let's see if we can... There, the arrows are now gone. I'll refresh as well. I will go ahead and take that first player token. I will draw one card. I've got another cancel shadow effect now.
Okay.
Let me do my resources. And I'll trigger my Steward of Gondor. So for me, I guess the obvious thing is I could do Northern Tracker or I could do Faramir. But I think it's probably just going to be Northern Tracker is best.
Yeah.
Yep. So 1, 2, 3, 4 for another copy Northern Tracker. And I suppose once this Mountains of Mirkwood is cleared out, it's going to be... We each get to look at the top 5 cards of our deck for any one card, like Gandalf, and add it to hand, which is going to be superb. And then the second copy of Mountains of Mirkwood will get gone the following turn.
Yeah.
Anyways, your planning. Feel free to...
Citadel Plate on Aragorn.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. I'll take control of that.
Well, again, less than ideal, because it would be nice to have Gimli Hulk smash the Nazgul.
Sure.
But hey, we got to deal with what we're dealt.
Right, exactly. So the sooner we can get rid of the Hummer Horns here, the better. But yeah, so I guess that is that. Worth noting.
Nothing else I can play.
I'm at 32 threat. Matthew's at 33. So I suppose let's just call it good there for committing characters to the quest. I will, at the very least, do all of these. So why don't I just do the quest points right away. So let's see here. This is 7, 8, 9. And that 9 is going to theoretically be up against 3, and we only need to make like 3 progress.
Okay.
I could also do Aragorn.
I will probably, if need be, I can pitch a Daughter of the Nimrodale since I have 2 of them, and there's no way I'm going to be able to afford 2.
Right. Maybe I will leave Aragorn up. I will throw a resource to Theodred, I think.
Okay.
And I'll leave Aragorn not committed to the quest. So I will do 6, 7, 8, 9, because I've got cards I can ditch as well.
Cool.
So 9 for me, nothing for you?
That's correct.
Okay, so let's... I guess we've got to resolve Mountains of Mirkwood here. So it's going to leave play, and each of us gets to look at the top 5 cards of our deck for a card and add it to hand. So look at top 5, and let me see...
Hey, I could pick a Gandalf.
Cool, and I'm going to grab a Galadrim's Greeting, which is...
Could also do a Gondorian Spearman, but Gandalf's a little more fun.
Sure, there's no Thalon in play. And I guess just worth noting, since somebody pointed this out in our comments, in the last video, we ended up transitioning between quest phases in Journey Along the Anduin. Thalon was committed to the quest. Matthew and I got an adequate number of quest points, and when you hit quest phase 3 of Journey Along the Anduin, you reveal additional encounter cards from the encounter deck. Because Thalon is considered to be committed to the quest until the end of the phase, we should have continued dealing damage to those enemies as they're revealed. So just wanted to get that out there in verbal form. But anyway, I got Galadrim's Greeting, and I shuffled my deck, and you snagged Gandalf.
Sure did.
So fantastic. So I guess we could use him for threat decrease since we've got a way to deal with the Hummer Horns. Just looks like we've got some options now, however we want to deal with these. But anyway, I guess for travel, no reason to go to the Mountains of Mirkwood.
Did we do our staging?
No, we did not. So that's a pretty important thing to notice. Why don't we go ahead and do staging? So,
I mean, as much as I'd love to skip it, we
Yes.
probably have to do it.
Yeah, we should probably follow the rules every once in a while. So, encounter card number 1 is going to be a copy of Chieftain Uftak, so 35 threat, and all of a sudden, that might be a good candidate for some Gandalf assistance. Encounter card number 2 is going to be, until the end of the phase, raise the total threat in the staging area by 2. So let's just say 4, 5, 6, 7.
Kind of cool art there. I like that.
So we're going to make 2 progress unless one of us ditches a card.
I mean, I can certainly get rid of Daughter of the Nimrodale. There's no way I'm affording 2 of them.
Yeah, and the instant we kill an enemy, we're going to make some progress. Uh, I guess it probably doesn't matter one way or the other.
Yeah, you know what? I forgot about that totally. So I'm actually not going to pitch anything because
Yeah,
you're right. I will be killing the king spider this turn.
sure. And I don't think I'll pitch anything either, even though there's really no good reason for me not to. Just because,
We can pitch it when we got to race out of the dungeon, maybe.
yeah, exactly. So there's not really any great reason for Matthew and I to hurry through this quest. So let me get rid of that treachery card. And I guess that is going to be that. So now I kind of jumped the gun, but for travel, I don't feel like I need to go anywhere. And for you, okay, so the Hummer horns here, I would have to engage it, which I'm fine doing.
Okay.
So why don't I go ahead and engage with Hummer horns, and it's only going to be attacking for 2. But I've got that forced effect where I have to deal 5 damage to a hero I control. That may as well be Aragorn.
Yep.
Maybe we can do a daughter later, but
Yep.
we're
hoping
probably
to.
not going to need to, but we'll see what happens. I'm the first player, so as we go into combat, I'll get the first shadow card.
Okay.
And in regard to resolving my attack, I guess you've got a defender, I've got a defender. I'll just have Aragorn block Hummer horns.
Okay.
Awesome to see this as a shadow card, so I take no damage. And how about you?
I will again play it safe and defend with Barivor.
Okay, so shadow card is also something awesome to see as a shadow card.
Yeah.
And then for attacking back, I guess, do you just want to get rid of your king spider?
Yeah, he's swinging a little harder than the Hummer horns.
Sure. I guess, well, So the only difference is we'd get rid of the Hummer horns, and then I could claim an objective, and then we could just start progressing through the quest. But also doesn't feel like there's any huge need for us to get through it as quickly as possible.
Right. And also, if the king spider was to get its attack boosted, Barivor's dead.
Right. Yeah, so let's play it safe. Why don't you have Legolas ruin your king spider's day?
Okay.
All right, sweet. So King Spider is going to go ahead and be destroyed. That is 2 progress on the Necromancer's Tower. And because of that stipulation there at the bottom in bold text, we cannot advance to the next stage of the quest yet. So that means Gimli is going to remain prisoner for a little while longer here.
Okay.
Okay, so may as well Control R to refresh. Our threat is 33 and 34. You're now first player. I will draw a card, which is a wizard friend of ours.
Don't forget to discard that shadow card.
Yes, my mistake there. So thanks for catching that. Shadow card is gone. And what are you doing for planning?
I've got a bevy of allies here that I could play. I do think that saving it for the daughter, though, is probably a good idea. Barivor's a little damage. Theodred, we got a lot of damage on the table, so I'm going to try to get these daughters out. So I could play the Blade of Gondolin, I suppose, on Legolas. Really no reason not to, I guess. Quick Strike, I don't think I'm going to be using that anytime soon.
Yeah.
We do have some orcs here. The chieftain could... I mean, there's no reason to play it. I don't feel like there's any reason not to play it. It makes a little more progress, so...
Yeah.
I'll play that.
All right. And I guess nothing else from you?
I mean, unless you really want me to go ahead and take care of the Hummerhorns.
Not really.
Because I certainly could.
And no, I think I think if you were to do our wizard, like, let's think about how we want to deal with the Nazgul. So I do have a cancel shadow effect. So the way that the Nazgul works is you and I are going to be transitioning. I'm just going to glimpse at the next quest phase in sequence to make this easier. So, like, let's say that if I were to claim an objective right now, we'd transition to the next phase of the quest. After we place any number of progress tokens during questing, we'd rescue our prisoner, which for you would be Gimli. He'd be face up. Then the Nazgul would enter the staging area. You could engage with it, and if you were to attack with, say, Gandalf and Gimli and Legolas, that would be 10 points of damage. With Barivor, that would be 12. If, like, Gleowine blocked for you, and I could make sure that Hasty Stroke cancels a shadow effect, and that wouldn't be the worst idea. So we'd have a guaranteed way of dealing with our Nazgul. But then if we deal with enemies, like additional enemies off the encounter deck, that would suck.
Right.
So maybe you should hold on to your wizard, and we should deal with the Hummerhorns a little bit more conventionally.
Okay.
All right. But I guess with all of that said, I will probably decrease our threat shortly. I could drop your threat by quite a lot. And then I've got a wizard to reduce my own threat later, or I could swap the order on that. Let's see. I guess I don't really... I could just... why don't I maybe use Gandalf later this round or something, drop into play and drop my threat, and I can decrease your threat. Something... I'll just kind of see how things go.
Okay.
So, anyways, I will exhaust Steward of Gondor, and then I will pay 3 resources, and I'll do the Galadrim's Greeting, and I will target you to have you drop your threat by 6. And let's see. For the rest of my resources, you've not played an ally, and I've got 7 leadership resources. So why don't I do Faramir? So I'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, since Theodred is at greater risk of dying.
Okay.
And I'll go ahead and put Faramir into play. And this should make our final escape from the dungeons trivially easy.
Okay.
And I think that's it for me.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm good with that.
All right. Viewers, if you're keeping track at home, I did just decide not to play the Blade of Gondolin and just save that resource.
Oh, okay. Well, then that works.
Yeah.
All right. So for committing characters to the quest, anything for you?
Nope.
All right. And for me, we're only up against, 2 threats. So I will do 6, 7, 8. Why don't I just do 8?
Okay. Don't forget Theodred's resource.
Yeah. I will place that on Theodred. And thanks to the 1 northern tracker I've sent, Mountains of Mirkwood is again going to be cleared. So let's search the top 5 cards of our deck. And let's see what we can find. So I've got more threat reduction. I've got a cancel when revealed. So let me see.
I didn't really get anything good, so I took Beorn just for fun, but I'm never really going to be able to play him.
Yeah. Let me take a look at the encounter discard pile. So all 3 of the Necromancer's Reach are in there. So why don't I go ahead and grab another Galadrim's Greeting, and then I will shuffle my deck, and I think I'll call it good there. So my Gandalf decision-making process is a little bit easier now. But I think that is going to be that for me. So 9... Yeah, so I've commit 9 willpower to the quest.
Okay.
Staging?
Yep.
Okay. Encounter card number 1 is going to be increase the threat by 2.
Okay.
Encounter card number 2 is going to be Dol Guldur Beastmaster.
Okay.
But this is something we may not necessarily have to deal with. So let's think. We're going to be making a total of 4 progress, but we do have an action window, or sorry, we're up against 6 threats, so we're going to be making 3 progress, but we've got an action window here where if we want, maybe you could grab an encounter, because I'm thinking about how we want to deal with the Nazgul of Dol Guldur. Because if you block with Gleowine, I could do Sneak Attack Gandalf to do 4 damage to it. And then if you've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8 is going to deal 5 HP worth of damage. And then Gandalf would do the Killing Blow. So if we want to be sneaky, we could totally kill the Nazgul this turn.
Okay.
So I guess why don't we do that? So in between staging and quest resolution, Matthew, why don't you have... Let's see. I guess the Shadow Key would be safer. Do you want to have Legolas grab the Shadow Key?
Sure.
Because you're going to be getting your daughter. Okay. So why don't you take control of that, and then you have to raise your threat by 2.
Okay.
And that means Matthew and I, as an action, are going to be satisfying the criteria of Quest Phase 1B. So we're going to transition to 2B. And this is after placing any number of progress tokens on this card, flip the Prisoner Hero card face up and place 1 damage on it. This hero has been rescued. So Matthew, why don't you go ahead and liberate Gimli?
Well, we haven't placed any progress on the card yet.
Right. So, okay. So I've sent 6, 7, 8 to the quest. We're up against 6. So we'll do, the 2 quest points. I was getting ahead of myself there. Sorry.
It's okay.
All right. So Gimli can be liberated at this point, and the Nazgul can be added to the staging area now that we've quested successfully. So Gimli's flipped. He's going to have a point of damage on him. And it's looking like that is going to be that.
Yeah, so certainly the timing was interesting, right? We used the action, just again, I think to be clear, we used the action window in between staging and quest resolution. Right. We already had the requisite number of quest points, so I used the action window to pull that down, which meant at that point we immediately progressed to the next quest card, and then we were able to place our progress tokens.
Yeah, so a little bit goofy, but it works.
Yep.
And that way, since questing, resolved, and then the Nazgul has entered the staging area, we fortunately don't have to deal with its 5 threat. So now we get to do travel. There are no eligible locations. Now we are going to do encounters. So thanks to the Galadrim's Greeting I played, neither of us has 35 or higher threat, but Matthew will do us the honor of taking the Nazgul of Dol Guldur.
Sure.
He's the first player, so as we go into combat, he gets a shadow card, I get a shadow card, and how do you want to deal with your poor Nazgul?
Well, Gleowine, you never drew me any cards, but it'll be all you.
Yeah, good riddance to bad rubbish. So, no shadow card or effect. And before Matthew and I were playing this, I've never seen that forced effect trigger where you're forced to discard a character.
Right.
So Gleowine is killed, no Horn of Gondor in play to trigger.
Nope.
But that doesn't matter. For me, I'm going to have... I think I'm going to have I'll have Faramir block my Hummer Horns.
Okay.
No shadow effect, so he takes no damage. And then, immediately prior to any attacks, I'm going to go ahead and spend 1 resource off of Theodred for sneak attack.
Enough! I am Gandalf, and Gandalf means me!
And I'm going to go ahead and put Gandalf into play, targeting the Dol Guldur orc, the Nazgul of Dol Guldur, small difference there, and I will deal it 4 points of damage.
Okay.
And I guess you're first player. It's all up to you.
Well, 6 minus 3 is 3, if I send those two, which is only a total of 7 damage. So again, no more card draw. Gotta send Barivore for that extra 2.
There's not, well, so what I'm thinking about in my mind is I kind of want to hold on to my leadership resources. I could do 4 Gondor, and that would spare you having to use Barivore.
I mean, that's up to you.
Yeah, I think I'd rather keep the resources at this point, so I will not do that. But since you're able to attack with your entire team, that's going to be just enough to kill the Nazgul of Dol Guldur. Its shadow effect, shadow card is discarded, and we've got to go through 18 more cards, encounter cards, before we shuffle the encounter deck, discard pile back into the encounter deck, and run the risk of encountering our Dol Guldur Nazgul once again. Legolas results in 2 additional progress made. And I guess back on my side of the table, I will just have Gandalf swing at Hummerhorns.
Okay.
They're going to be destroyed. The Beastmaster is gone. And now Gandalf's map, I think, is just going to bounce back to the staging area. So that is going to be that. I'm going to hold off on claiming any of those yet. So fair few things are going to happen here. At the end of the combat phase, Gandalf bounces back to my hand. I actually remembered for once. Let's Control R to refresh, and Legolas takes a point of damage from the Shadow Key.
Yep.
And now I will take the first player token, and we'll do our resources, and we'll each draw 1 card. And now I suppose it's my opportunity to plan here. So I've got a wizard. My threat is kind of getting perilously high. I don't feel like I need to do a Gandalf yet, although I could.
I'll play the daughter if you don't play an ally. So
Okay, so why don't I'll let that make up my mind for me. So I will do 3 for a second Gladrum's Greeting, this time targeting myself.
Okay.
And I will drop my threat down to 28. And I suppose that's it for me.
Okay. I will play the daughter for 3.
Great.
There's, at this point, really no reason not to play the blade.
Sure.
I don't really have a ton of good tactics cards. I could play Horn of Gondor. I don't really see the need to do so. So I'm just going to hold on to my resources.
Okay, sounds pretty fair to me. And then let's see here. Okay, so I guess this is just going to be questing at this point. I'll definitely send these characters.
Okay.
I suppose I want to make a large amount of progress, so I could do 7, 8.
Yeah, I don't plan on sending anyone, if that helps.
Right. I probably just want to make a ton of progress so that we can maybe win the scenario next round.
Okay.
So I'm going to send all of these characters, and let's see, so 7,
Is there a
8,
reason not
9.
to send Aragorn?
No, I think you're totally right. So I will
And then you have
give
so
him a
many
resource,
resources, right? Yeah.
pull a resource, and then ready him again. So I've got a ton of characters committed to the quest. I'm not going to use Faramir yet, even though all of our copies of the Necromancer's Reach are in the discard pile. Anyway, so let's go ahead and just do encounter card number 1, which is Dungeon Jailer.
Of course. All right.
Although
cool.
something tells me we're not going to quest unsuccessfully. Encounter
Right.
card number 2 is going to be just garbage. This is ridiculous.
Okay.
So this goes to the top of the first player's deck. It's a condition attachment. Next time I would draw a card, I discard Iron Shackles instead. Who cares?
Right.
So put that on top of my discard pile. We're up against 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 threat. I will use Faramir on myself. So 2, 4, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 is my willpower. And because I lost track, I used to edit this out of the video, but I no longer care. We'll be making 11 progress. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It looks like that's the perfect number, unless I miscounted. Matthew and I obviously both have tons of cards to pitch if it was necessary, but I think I counted correctly. So we've got enough quest points, but we've yet to claim all of these objectives. The tricky thing here is Matthew and I can again make sneaky use of our kind of action windows. Do we want to, like, there's no travel opportunities. Do we want to engage with any of these just to get rid of them? Like,
I mean, we
doesn't
certainly
really matter
could.
too much.
We certainly could. The jailer is probably the safest.
Yeah. I'm just thinking if we want to get rid of a 2-threat enemy, last... I don't know if we should even bother, but maybe it would be more interesting to get rid of something. So
Sure.
Why don't you... Let's see, Chieftain Uftak. I always forget if it's the first turn he swings for 3 or if he swings for 5.
He only swings for...
Oh, yes. So it's only for 3.
Right, it's after the attack is
Right,
resolved.
because otherwise a warg would return to the staging area before it resolves its attack.
Right.
So Chieftain Uftak, why don't you take him and I'll defend for you?
Okay.
Okay, so...
with that said, are you going to use Aragorn?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you engage him, here's a shadow card for it. I'm not going to do any engagement.
Okay.
I will go ahead and defend for you with Aragorn. Shadow card is nothing. So Aragorn does take 1 additional point of damage.
Okay.
And now it's your time to shine.
All right, so these two swing for 7, which means I need to use Barivor
Sure.
to make it 9.
Might as well. So he is going to be added to the victory display. Enchanted Stream was destroyed. I didn't add it, but technically Chieftain Uftak there would have gained a resource token after resolving his attack in full.
Right.
So for a brief moment there, he was at attack value 5. But
Make 3 progress, technically. Not that that matters.
Right. So 1, 2, 3. What Matthew and I could do here is we could claim like Dungeon Torch now, but we don't want to stomach that forced effect.
Right.
Well,
I mean, there's certainly no reason not to get the map, but...
Yeah. Well, I guess in hindsight it may have been better to just gain the threat and then do 3 quest points toward completing the scenario. If you understand the logic.
Yeah,
like,
no, I
before
do.
you
We can grab both of them if we want.
Yeah. I'll say since we let the opportunity pass us by, let's just skip it this time.
Okay, perfect.
But in the future, Matthew and I could have stomached a little bit of additional threat, and in exchange, we'd have gotten the quest points.
Right.
Anyways, so let's go ahead and do the end of the round.
I will, before that, use Daughter of the Nimrodel.
Oh,
and
yes.
I'll do it on Theodred, I suppose, because he's always questing.
Sure. So I will go ahead and strip 2 points of damage off him. Thank you so much.
Sure thing.
And now shall we do the end of the round business?
Yep.
Okay. So 1 point of damage to Legolas. You are now first player. And now let's go ahead and do our resources and draw a card. So Iron Shackles is now going to be discarded. So that absorbs my card draw. So now we're at planning. I guess this is probably as good a time as any to grab the Gandalf's map and the Dungeon Torch.
Okay, sure.
So why don't I go ahead and snag Gandalf's map? So I will boost up my threat by 2. And I suppose I may as well grab the Dungeon Torch as well.
Okay.
And I think I'll put that on Theodred.
Okay.
So I will boost up my threat by an additional 2. So at this point, Matthew and I have rescued the prisoner, and we have all 3 Escape from Dol Guldur objective cards. We're going to be transitioning to Quest Phase 3A, and this is following a thread of sunlight. We discover a cavern opening leading out through the side of the hill. So we've broken into Dol Guldur, now we're breaking out. Stationed outside the cave mouth, however, is a large group of orcs. And this is what I was saying, Matthew and I could have had 3 progress on this, but 7 quest points. At the beginning of each quest phase, we're going to place the top card of our deck face down in front of us, and it's going to count as an orc guard. I've never actually had to fight one of these. They're 1/1s with 1 HP. The Nazgul of Dol Guldur is not in play, and so if we get 7 quest points, we're going to be able to win this one.
Okay.
But Matthew, plan away, my good sir.
Well, I could play Gandalf if you weren't planning on doing so.
I guess I may as well play him just so he benefits from Faramir. It doesn't really matter either way.
Nope. Yep. And then we are no longer limited to 1 ally.
Oh, that's right.
5 per phase.
That's a really good point, I guess.
So I guess I should play my largest willpower ally, which is 1. And so I will play Hindamarth Riversong for 1 measly little resource.
Nice.
And that's all that I can do.
That's pretty clutch, Matthew.
I know.
Appreciate your contributions here.
I mean, I could play a horseback archer for 3, but not really adding a ton.
Right. So I guess anything else from you?
And that is it.
Okay. Steward of Gondor for me means Eowyn has 5 resources. I will use each of Eowyn's resources to drop Gandalf.
Enough! I am Gandalf, and Gandalf means me!
Onto the table. I think what I want to do is... I'm not going to be able to kill either of these enemies, so I will just decrease my threat. Again, I'm not worried about cancel when revealed, just because all the nasty treacheries, like discard all your events, deal damage to characters, those are all in the discard pile. I easily could have had him draw cards, had Eowyn spare 1 resource. A lot of different options there.
Of course, Theodred can always give her 1, but yeah.
Yeah, right. So, anyway, I guess what I want to do is I will do 1 resource for Snowborn Scout.
Okay.
And then I will do 1, 2, 3 resources for Son of Arnor. And I'm actually going to go ahead and pick the Dol Guldur Beastmaster to be engaged with me, just to get its threat out of the staging area.
Right.
And then I will do 1, 2, 3 for a Silverlode Archer.
Okay.
So, good catch, Matthew, with being able to play more than 1 ally. So, that's all I'm going to do. Now, at the beginning of the quest phase, you and I each have to put the top card of our deck face down. I am not sure how to put it directly. Okay, yeah, so if you were to drag it and then hold shift in the middle before you let go after you pull the card off the top of your deck.
Meh. Mine was a Gondorian Spearman. Whoops.
Yeah, and mine, well, it doesn't matter. I almost flipped it, but then my keyboard malfunctioned. So it'll remain a mystery. Okay, so that is face down. Those are going to be orc guards. Now, Matthew, for committing characters to the quest, who are you going to send?
Well, if I trust you that the Necromancer's Reach is done, there is no reason for me to not send the team just for fun. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I will go ahead and pitch a card to Eowyn because there is no reason not to.
Sure.
So that is 8 for me.
And does that include the card that you pitched?
It does.
Okay, cool. That makes the math easy for me. So I'll do 1, 2, 8, 9, 10, 11, and I'll do that little trick as per usual. 12, 12, also 12, and then I'll go ahead and make it 16. I'll use Faramir now because the Necromancer's Reach is gone. So 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So I've sent 25, you've sent 8? Okay, so total of 33. Let's see, encounter card number 1 is going to be a King Spider, so thank God that I readied Aragorn here.
Right.
Encounter card number 2 is going to be a copy of Tower Gate.
Okay.
So Northern Trackers really trivialized this location, but Matthew, time for some math. We're up against 5 threat. But we've commit 33 to the quest, which means we're going to end up making 28 progress. Shame that we didn't have the additional 3 on there, but 28 is indeed 7 or more.
Yeah.
Nazgul of Dol Guldur is not in play. We
Nope.
have defeated this quest phase. We've defeated the quest, we've beaten the scenario, and Matthew, the core set is now officially behind us. So...
Woohoo.
I guess, what did you think about Escape from Dol Guldur with just the core set cards at our disposal?
You know, I think this is a fun quest. It's one of the quests that I have not played very much, maybe 3, 4, 5 times total in my entire life of the game, which is from the beginning, April 2011. This is one of those quests that's nearly impossible solo with core set only cards. You really have to get lucky. But in multiplayer, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Certainly, we had a pretty rough start. I mean, Gimli was the worst one to get picked. We got the Hummer Horns right off the bat, which made it doubly worse. We do have quite a bit of damage on the table, but I never really felt like we were out of control. Certainly, Ungoliant Spawn maybe could have wrecked our day. Necromancer's Reaches at the wrong time could have wrecked us a little bit more. But by and large, we were always sort of in the driver's seat. And I think it's a fun quest. I like the theme. Way future, spoiler alert, the nightmare version of this quest is really, really tough.
Yeah.
But the regular version, you know, it's a fun quest. I like it.
Yeah, it was very cool in the core set to see just what some of the possibilities were, like compared to Journey Along the Anduin or Passage Through Mirkwood. There's a lot going on. Gandalf's map, the Dungeon Torch,
Right.
and the Shadow Key, they're all very unique. But once you start to get a little bit privy to how the game functions, you can really take advantage of action windows, as is abundantly clear, like Matthew and I did, to kind of cheese your way through this scenario. Like Gandalf's map, obviously, if you put that on a questing character, it doesn't matter if they can attack or defend, but like Dungeon Torch, because we only really grabbed it prior to our final questing, we never had to deal with that giant threat boost at the end of the round. And the Shadow Key, we made sure that it was on a hero that wasn't in danger of dying. The Nazgul of Dol Guldur, we were able to, you know, it didn't get a shadow card, but we were also had insurance available to cancel that effect. So it was just, you know, knowledge is power, and the more information we've got at our disposal, the more we could deal with things. Like these orc guards, we didn't have to deal with those, knowing that we didn't have to hold anything back, because I know that there are only 3 copies of the Necromancer's Reach. Obviously, we were able to send every character to the quest. I could use Son of Arnor to pull enemies out of the staging area, just to essentially guarantee that there was no way that we weren't going to win this quest. So, it's a lot of fun, but you know, the core set, it came out 5 years ago. It was their first try to make some cool scenarios, and just like with every experience, as gamers get older, more mature, they get more experience under their belt, they really find a way to, you know, squeeze every little drop of value out of action windows and everything else. But still a fun quest, and I look forward to the just god-awful nightmare version someday. But, I mean, Matthew, any just overall thoughts on the core set itself that you'd like to share now that we're about to transition to the Shadows of Mirkwood cycle of adventure packs?
I will say quickly that I thought your use of Son of Arnor, while not necessary, was certainly fun.
Yeah.
But with the core set overall, the nostalgia is strong. Even if, given our modern card pool and how, you know, I don't know if anyone really ranks any of these 3 quests in their top 5 or even top 20, probably not even top 25 quests anymore with such the variety we have. And definitely this gave us a taste of where the game could go, when the designers have certainly really stretched the boundaries of these initial quests. For me, my love of Passage Through Mirkwood and Journey, and even Escape to a lesser degree, is certainly rooted in the nostalgia of just because this is all we had for so long, just playing these quests over and over and over with different deck combinations,
Right.
different hero combinations. They definitely hold a soft spot in my heart that even the first cycle doesn't. With that said, the first cycle also has very strong nostalgic feelings for me. Journey Through Rosgobel being one of my favorites, and I know most people don't like it that much. So I'm really excited to go through those really early quests again. And in some ways, I feel like these early quests with restricted decks really tests our abilities as players. And you're right that knowledge is power, and it's really fun to revisit these with a very limited card pool. So I'm enjoying it, and I can't wait for what's to come.
Yeah, it's been fun so far for anyone that hasn't been around playing LOTR since day one. When Matthew says that, people played and played these quests over and over again, we were sold on there's going to be the core set and then a monthly expansion for this game. But because of a couple consecutive unexpected customs checks and delays after delays, I want to say it was like 10 weeks or something of the core set before we got our first expansion. So there was definitely plenty of time to spend with these first 3 scenarios, but it's great seeing some of these core set player cards in action. Silverload Archer made an appearance. Even Son of Arnor did something. So I had a blast. Can't wait for what's next. So thank you again, Matthew, for going along this progression series with me. But
Of course.
I suppose just as a way of bringing this video to a close, if listeners want to hear more of your dulcet tones, where can they go to listen to you?
Well, if you would like to delve a little bit more deeply into the metagame of the Lord of the Rings, the card game, feel free to check out my podcast, which is the Grey Company Podcast. We are an in-depth Lord of the Rings LCG podcast focusing on strategy, deck building, and the metagame. Google the Grey Company Podcast. We're on Facebook, we're on iTunes, we're on Twitter even. That is Grey with an E, and I hope you check us out soon.
Definitely comes highly recommended. So, as always, thank you so much for checking out another installment of the ongoing Lord of the Rings, the card game progression series. The core set has been a delight. Next up, we're going to break into the Shadows of Mirkwood cycle of adventure packs with the Hunt for Gollum. It's one of my personal favorite scenarios because of nostalgia, not so much the quality of the quest. But I promise the video is going to be great. We're going to do a card review, and then it's on to the scenario, and it's going to kind of be wash, rinse, repeat from here on out, now that the progression series and the evaluation series are really going to get going beyond the core set. So be sure to check that out. If you want to get in touch with me on social media, I'm the Hive Tyrant on Facebook and Twitter. And if you have any inclination whatsoever to support the new progression series, check out the Hive Tyrant on Patreon as well. But with that said, this video's gone on long enough, so thank you once again for watching or listening. Take care, and be sure to check back in again soon for much more LOTR LCG content to come.